Hey everybody, this is Nate with Academy FM. For this video, I'm going to be going through some cool ways to beef up your sub bass through distortion by using the Effector plugin. So, for this video, I've gone ahead and made a quick little loop here, and I'm using two different subs that we'll go through each individually. The first one is just a sub I made in Serum, super simple basic sub bass. And then the other one is a 808 sub bass sample that I took from a Cymatics pack. So this is what the first sub sounds like from Serum. And this is with Effector on it. And just so you get an idea of what we're going to be doing, this is what it sounds like without Effector. And that's what it sounds like with it. And then here we also have the 808 sample. So here's what it sounds like with Effector. And here's what it sounds like without. So just for this little loop here, I went ahead and did some pretty minor pitch automation. That's just to kind of make it sound cooler. So let's get started on Effector. So we'll start with our first bass here. Go ahead and turn this one off and start fresh. So the Effector plugin is all the way up here under just miscellaneous. And this is what we're looking at. So right off the bat, we're going to want to go ahead and here's all your different effects down here. Today we're going to be using distortion. So just go ahead and click that if it's not already selected. And if you play it right now, you'll notice you don't hear anything. That's because the default setting has this bypass on, which means basically any effect you're using is being bypassed and is not gonna get, placed onto whatever you're trying to use it on. So what you can do is just go ahead and turn that off. And now currently we do have distortion applied to our sub, but before we play it and hear how it sounds and get into changing that, I'm gonna do a quick little run through of Effector here. Up here you have your input gain, and over here is your output gain. And here is our X parameter and our Y parameter. So these control this right here. So if you move this left to right, that's your X parameter. This is going to, for distortion, the X parameter is going to be controlling the amount of distortion that is being applied. And the Y parameter is controlling the frequencies that are being distorted. So if we have it all the way up at the top, that means that those very high frequencies are the ones getting distorted. And then if we bring it all the way down to the low, it's the lower frequencies being distorted. And then left to right, left is almost little to no distortion, right is a buttload. And then we have our dry wet knob right here, which we're definitely gonna be using. So we'll just go ahead and place this in the middle where it starts off. And we're absolutely going to need to turn the dry wet down, because when it's all the way up, it's completely overwhelming. I'll just go ahead and play it so you can hear. It's really intense, way too much. So usually that's what I'll do right off the bat after turning off the bypass is I'll turn this down. You can definitely play with it, see where it hits best. I usually end up turning it pretty far down, a little bit past halfway. And then for this specific example, I believe we had it up here. Yeah, we're distorting the higher frequencies on this one. So what you can do is you can move each one individually, or you can just grab it, move it around like this, which is a lot easier. And you can play around with what sounds best to you. So we're just going to go ahead and place it right around up here. And it gives kind of a nice little underlying tone on the sub, where your lower frequencies are still hitting, but it gives that little sprinkle of distortion on top. Sounds pretty cool. And you can play with that throughout your song. If you want some hits to have distortion and other ones you don't want. You can, automate this right here. So you can play around that throughout your song, get some cool variations going on. So let's go ahead and move on to the sample here. This is just from, I'm pretty sure this is from the Savage Trap Pack. Some cool 808s in there. I pretty much just copied the MIDI that I made over there to this. Let's go ahead and turn it on. So this one we're distorting the lower frequencies, as you can see here from our XY grid here. And let's go ahead and turn this off and add a new effector onto this panel. So same thing, go ahead and select distort, turn the bypass off, turn the dry wet knob down because we don't necessarily want that to be up for distortion. And here we can just play around with the lower frequencies here. So you can get a cool, more rumbly sound with the lower frequencies. And obviously turn it up or down here on the dry wet, get a more intense sound. Really depends on the type of song you're making, what kind of synths you're layering over the sub, and pretty much all the other aspects that go into creating a song. You can have to blend those together, but this is how you do it. So another really cool thing that you can do here is you can automate the amount of distortion that's being applied. And you do that by just opening up Effector, and then you have your X parameter right here. So you want to just drop that all the way down to 0, right click and hit create automation clip. You can sort of play around with how you want the distortion to come in. Instead of just being completely on like this, what you can do, drag it, you make a little mountain here, and it kind of creates like almost like a little wubby sound. We could even do it a quicker sense here. So it's like, just definitely play around with that. You can get some cool variations in the 808 just through the distortion. And then also maybe just see how this sounds. Go ahead and drop this down here. See how that sounds. Yeah, so like you play around with the actual automation of the distortion, you can kind of create a groove that goes along with whatever synth pattern you're working with, and you can get really cool. Like right here, I imagine maybe a synth filling up this space right here, and then part of this as well, but maybe then like once this little stairway of the 808 and the MIDI comes in, you can maybe like cut it so that you can actually hear that one little instance, and then it comes back in full force right here. Those are just like, I don't know, cool little random ideas, things you can do by automating the distortion, but that is the basis of it. Go ahead and run through everything one more time. So we have our X parameter controlling the amount of distortion, Y parameter controlling the frequencies being distorted, our dry wet knob, and pretty much all that just right here in Effector. Super simple, a lot of fun to play around with, and that will pretty much do it for this video. So all right guys, hope that helped you out. Thank you.